Preparing the Zoom. Hello, everyone, and this is Saida once again. After a long break during Ramadan, I was not doing any live and was busy with my family. But now we are back again right after Ramadan, and today our topic is very, very much asked around our community. The landlords who are renovating their house, and it is something very commonly asked. And for that, I thought of to invite our very own Amir Ali, who has been working with us, and we were working on many projects together uh, with regards to aluminum windows and glazing. So I thought, not why not to invite an expert to talk about and give us some thoughtful details about how to select the right windows and what are do's and don'ts and challenges regarding the windows. So welcome, Amir, to our Facebook group.
Thank you so much, Saida. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad that I could be part of this platform where we could reach people who have these questions. And I love to share knowledge about this, and I love what you do. And this is something I've been following. Other than the work that we do together, I've been following you since quite some time. So it's a pleasure that I get to be here.
Thank you very much. Yes, Amar. So we often has spoken about this live, which was being delayed because of so many other issues. So tell me about yourself, Amir. Amir as a human, Amir as a schoolboy, how Amir was, and now Amir
So
as a Saida's friend, how Amir is.
Very, very simple. I'm a typical Dubai boy. I've been pretty much raised here. My parents came into this country about 25 years ago, and that's when we all came here as a family. And my dad has been doing glass since he started his career, and before that, he was part of his grandfather's business. So yeah, I'm actually the fifth generation in my family to get into this line
Oh,
of business.
okay.
It's almost a 120-year-old business. And obviously, at that point of time, aluminium and glass wasn't what it is today. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
at that point of time, we used to just, back in India, we used to just do very, very basic, crude, raw glass work, which was just a small pane in a window or a few mirrors here and there. But of course, the industry's developed a lot over the past 100 years. In fact, a lot more in the past 10, 15, 20 years or so. So I've done my entire schooling from here. I went to DPS, which is a school in Sharjah. I studied my business management. I'm not at all an engineer or I'm not an architect. It's a trade that I've picked up from the family heritage. I never thought I'd get into it, but it's been a great couple of years, and it's I really enjoy what I do, and it's a very interesting industry.
You know what? I first time I came to know that you are not engineer because your knowledge is so much at top about your work that it's really I never thought of you're not an engineer because whenever we have any problem and you have the answer.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. It's just honestly, I think experience teaches you a lot,
hmm,
and over the last 5 years, the amount that I've learned has been crazy. I've been able to apply it into new different concepts into the company. So it's only been an upward, curve for us, luckily.
right. Yeah, that is very interesting part of your business that we will talk about. Tell me about your company, Alfanus Alfadi, how it is 25 years old business here in Dubai or?
Yes. So basically, Alpha News was owned by under the Zuleika Hospital Group initially. Uh, Earlier to when my dad took over the business,
Mhm.
it was a company that was just kept for the small little work that they used to have in their only one hospital in Sharjah. So the owner used to run this company, and she used to run it on a very, very small scale. My dad, obviously having his experience from India, came in and said that he wanted to take over the company with a nominal partnership, and then he grew it since 1996 all the way up to 2010. He grew it along with all the partners, and the company was obviously flourishing. We used to be in the Sharjah industrial area before. After 2010 is when my dad, even the Zuleika Hospital, we call her Zuleika Auntie. But she said that, okay, I'm done with the glass business. I've got a lot of hospitals and I've got a lot of work to do on my own. So that's when they all parted ways, and my dad continued as a sole proprietor for Alfanus Al Fadi. We also made the big jump of a move to being in the Emirates Industrial City, which is in the Sajja area of Sharjah. It's on the outskirts, which is now a very, very budding area. And we're fortunate that we did shift here well before the entire market shifted here. A lot of the top companies which are into construction are now our neighbors, and they've all come after us. So Alfanus has been doing that. Aluminium is something that we've technically not done as a heritage business. Aluminium is something we only started doing in the past 15 years or so, and we learned it through our own challenges. We were initially people who only did interior glass work. That means mirrors, partitions, decorative glass, stained glass, stuff like that. But we got into aluminium and glazing only over the past 15 years or so. So that's a little bit about our journey, and I'll get into more details later on.
Okay, so let's quickly jump into the technical aspects of aluminum and glass glazing, which is a general topic of this talk today. So which one is better, PVC or aluminum window? I know
Um,
the answer, but I really want to get the
See,
technicality.
thank you for that question. Firstly, it's a very good question. A lot of, and this question even came up in a recent project that we were tendering for. Um, Very honestly, we don't do PVC windows in my factory, but PVC windows are something you could say an age-old way of doing windows. If you roam around in the Imar communities, that is, in Emirates Hills, to meadows, springs, lakes, I do a lot of these projects where people have traditionally had UPVC windows installed. There are a couple of advantages and a few disadvantages to these windows. UPVC windows do not have, you could say, the lifeline of an aluminum window, because a metal will always be a lot more resistant to the elements outside than a plastic window. So you can see
Mhm.
that plastic windows start losing their abilities of actually cause deflecting any kind of heat, or having any kind of durability. Aluminum windows will be there for the rest of the life. One advantage, however, I've seen of UPVC windows is because um, they are made of a PVC or like a plastic compound. They have more ability to reduce the amount of sound that comes into houses. So people actually, when they care more about acoustic resistance than thermodynamics and thermal braking, they choose UPVC windows. And very honestly, UPVC windows are so rare in the market now that they're more expensive than aluminum windows. So
Really?
yes, so there are companies here who still very much like to do UPVC windows, but I personally feel that aluminum windows are a lot more robust and a lot more. They're developing a lot more with current trends than a UPVC window. So my sort of personal bias is towards aluminum windows.
Yeah, so you can keep up with the current trends and the interior decoration needs actually with
Exactly.
the
And I think one of
aluminum.
the more important and more pressing causes of today is that plastic is not biodegradable, plastic is not environmentally friendly. Aluminum is a metal which can be very easily recycled. So, in fact, even we have a part of our business where a lot of our windows that we are purchasing entire lengths of aluminum for, which are then fabricated and created into windows. Whatever is the small offcuts or whatever is the wastage out of that aluminum length uh, goes into a scrap. And then the scrap basically melts the entire aluminum to create another whole pellet of aluminum, which is used for more fabrication. So it is a recyclable material, which is amazing.
Yeah, this aspect is very nice that we should keep in mind the environment and the sustainability actually, which is a big talk of the town these days after COVID. So we are more interested to know how to help the environment. And yes, having something recyclable and sustainable, these are two different things, but having both things in one is rare.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Right. So
Thank you.
another question is, what do you do? So how this business is changing? Like, as you said, business is changing, and what are the demands these days for this kind of?
Um, Saida, I think this is a very, very relevant topic, especially in a country like Dubai. We are, I have clients who come in from Africa. I have clients who come in from, other parts of the GCC. I have clients who come in from, European countries. And then I have clients who come in from UAE. All of these countries, what I feel is that UAE and Dubai, especially, is a very, very, very advanced economy. We're trying to move at a much faster pace. So trends change here very quick. Till 15 years ago, aluminium over here was something like it was a wow factor for homes. Having aluminium windows itself was like, wow, look, they have aluminium, very, very robust windows, apart from what UPVC windows used to be or wooden windows used to be back in the day. Uh, However, now I feel that aluminium also is developing quick. There are different systems out there which give you different thermal properties, acoustic properties. I feel there are systems now which I feel the most current trend that I'm seeing in all of my inquiries is that people want lesser aluminium, more glass. Every new construction that's coming in the country now, any house that's built up from scratch or any designer that's building a new house is now saying, I want minimum floor to height ceilings of 4 to 5 meters minimum. And right next to that, I want in a window which is also spanning the entire 5 meters.
Oh, wow.
So it's amazing to see that people are doing this, and now aluminum systems are developing themselves to have the the capacity, and how to have these ability to take over these windows and create those full height glasses, which reduce the amount of aluminium but also increase the amount of glass, which was
Yeah,
possible before. But now I think that these guys are working on minimal and slimline systems,
minimalistic.
which is a very which is a very important factor. Moreover, the Dubai municipality is also trying to make a lot of changes on how these windows are made to make them safe for families, for children. They're trying to make sure that these windows are they work, they don't crack, the glass doesn't shatter randomly. So they've put in mind a lot of these we could say restrictions, regulations, the Dubai municipality requirements, which is a very, very forward thing on the municipality's behalf. And I appreciate our leadership here for trying to follow these standards and making it a standard. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
So, do they come to check if it is a small job or big job? So, how does it work? So, how do they come
I
and
would
keep it
say that
regulated?
a Dubai municipality, or let it be an Akil, Thrakis, or an Imar, or everyone has their standards that they require you to follow. Will every subcontractor follow it? Is something that I won't comment on, but it's something that's very, very difficult to catch hold of. As long as you are okay with cutting a few corners as a customer, I think the and subcontractor will say, yeah, sure, no problem, we'll reduce the price for you. But if you were to do it the right way, and if you were to do it with a way that, okay, I'm going to be in this house for at least another 10 years or 5 years, and I want to make sure that it's safe for not only myself, my family, and it's going to reduce the cost of my living in this house, it's very
Mm.
important to follow those Dubai municipality regulations. And these are regulations because they're there for a reason. Things such as your energy bills are really affected by the kind of windows that you use. Things such as cleaning your house, the amount of dust that comes in and the amount of sound that comes in are very, very related, because a concrete and a cement will pretend it will behave the same way everywhere in the world, but a window can really change how open or closed your house is to the outside environments, especially in a country that is as hot and dusty as and humid as UAE.
Yeah. So the other day, I remember you were telling me about one of the villa owner came back to you. Can you tell me the story about the same? The he hired some other contractor, but in the middle of the work, he had to hire you.
So, I mean, in construction, there's obviously a very, very common concept where there is any contractor who's doing a job, there will be a few snags. There will be a few small minor issues, which even we honestly face on some of our sites. But what happened on these projects is that we were initially tendering for the project. We were slightly a bit more expensive than the other contractor. It was about a 150 to 200,000 dirham job just for the aluminium part of it, where I was maybe about 15 to 20,000 dirhams more expensive than the other contractor. And I'm telling you all this information because of
But
what
yeah, but there was a reason behind it. You were expensive because of the reason.
I was
Yeah.
expensive, of course, because now when we come into these projects, we don't look at it just as a, okay, I will put the window up. There is a lot of finer details that go into what sections is this person using. Is he using the right kind of section for the right kind of window? Is he using the right kind of glass for this? Is he using the right kind of gaskets, sealants? Is he using the right kind of screws? Is he using the right kind of silicone? Now, in all of these, like every other car that you may want to purchase or a t-shirt that you want to purchase, they come different qualities. But these things can be very easily neglected. This could be a plastic button that I'm wearing, or it could be a iron button that I'm wearing, or it could be a any kind of material, like it could be a metal button that I'm wearing. When I'm buying a shirt, I won't really realize. I'll just be like, oh, the this other t-shirt seems 20 dirhams cheaper. Why don't I just take this? They look pretty much the same. But inside there'll be the a very minor detail which a customer may never realize. But he'll realize that after a few months of living in his house, that, oh my God, this is rusting. Why is this rusting? Oh, this silicone is tearing. Oh, why is this gasket there like that? Oh, my door is not moving properly anymore. That's and a very important reason for that is we have the technical knowledge, and we understand that these aluminum sections need to go in a certain format. They need to be assembled in the right way, for which you need special sections. Other people, and this is exactly what I saw on the other side, is that the contractor who had done that job was using the wrong sections. He was not using the sections that were meant to be used for a bottom or a top or a side of your door shutter. He just used the same thing on all around. So he basically saved on, instead of buying one, two, and three different kinds of profiles, he just bought one, and he just fixed a door shutter with that.
Yeah.
So what happened with that is the client hasn't moved into the house yet. This is a brand new construction in Dubai Hills. Before the client could even move into the house, the door stopped moving, and obviously the aluminium fabricator or the aluminium supplier is now been paid off since a few months. So they've basically lost a little bit of money. But because the house is not being able to be handed over, the final contractor, the end contractor, is now stuck on that site without being able to hand it over to the end customer. And that's when they called me and they said that, Amir, can you do a diagnosis? I did a diagnosis and I realized that a lot of small things were going wrong with these windows, which may be invisible to the naked eye. But I, as with my technical team, with my skilled engineers who've been doing this for 20 plus years, they've realized that, okay, this is what's wrong, that's what's wrong. And it's very simple. If they just did this right at the time of fabrication, this problem wouldn't be uh, and that's when I went back to my contractor and I said that, hey, you remember you were fighting with me for 20,000 dirhams then. Now the client's having to pay almost double of that to repair this issue. And which is what
To
we try.
repair it.
Yeah. So which is why we try to avoid that. We do the right job from the first time. And touch wood, we've had a very good track record where clients have come back to us and said that, even though we try to go to someone else, your quality is always better. Even if it comes at a price tag, good quality comes with good price and with good time. You have to give a good amount of time
Yes.
for good quality work to be done, and you have to pay a little bit of a premium. Not too much. I don't think I'm anywhere double the price of anyone else, but there will be a few percentage of difference which the customer at the beginning of the
10% to
project,
15% different.
10 to 15%, the client does have to
But yes,
yeah, so it's a very
yeah, but that's very important. Yeah.
yes.
And
So
that's very important with the family house actually. And people, if it is a company or any office, even though we have to be very careful because this is to be done very diligently because it's a glass.
Yeah.
And it is very important to have a right thing in the right place.
I, I agree with you 100%. It's scary sometimes to see glasses randomly shatter. And oddly enough, I was sitting with someone the other day, and they no, it was you, in fact, actually, who told me that
Yeah,
in your family friend's house,
brothers. Yeah, my
your brother's
brother's
house,
house.
you told me about the random glass that just shattered, and it was very shocking for me to hear that. But I know why that happened, and that's happened because of how Dubai heat is, and there's no escaping that. So if you don't spec the glass in the right way, or if you don't process the glass in the right way, or if you fix it in the wrong way, there are multiple things that can go wrong, and which an end customer will never realize why that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is was the topic yesterday, the other day when we were talking, and it is uh, that building is newly handed over, and two of the glasses have been shattered until now. And this is about, I'm telling you about one apartment, and think about other apartments in the building. So yes, so there are so many technicalities, and that's why we bring experts to the group so that they can tell about the technical details. And then after that, choice is yours, and you know what to select for your home and office.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Amer, another question is, what is the process involved if someone want to change the window or want to have the window? What is the process? What should they look for before going for a contractor? The technical aspects.
Technical aspects, very simply. First, if you're living in a villa, or if you're living in a in an apartment, it would be slightly a bit more technical. But say you're living in a villa, very simple. You just go with what you think would look nice with your interiors. um, Secondly, you go with a, a kind of a section that you think would be apt for your house. How you would
Mhm.
decide that is, I don't think you would know it just from the get go. Don't just rely on someone because they're saying, "Oh, look, it's a American made aluminium, or it's a European made aluminium, or it's made in China." There's nothing ever wrong with anything being made from anywhere in the world. Just because it's coming from Italy doesn't mean it's necessarily of a better quality than a Chinese. But understand what is going on behind. Most importantly, visit showrooms. Visit another person's house where the, say for example, if I'm the contractor, I'll say, hey, before trusting me with your money, why don't you come and see another one of my sites where I've done a similar window? So, and it's very important to see things like these, see the movement, see these finer aspects, like is it shaky, is it moving smoothly, is there anywhere where you can see that there are gaps in the windows? These are all important things over here. uh, Secondly, very important thing that you should notice is that when you're choosing the glass that you have, especially if it's an external application like a window or an outhouse you're making or something, ensure that the glass is of a certain quality. Just saying that the glass is made from Belgium or from China will not make the glass any better or any worse. Every glass has a performance attached to it. Every unit of glass, that is a double glazed unit, which is what primarily we use in this
Yeah.
country, a double glazed glass always comes with a certain performance related to it. So
Already.
that performance teaches you how much is this glass going to help in reducing the amount of heat that is outside from coming inside,
Okay.
or make sure that the glass is also manufactured in the right way. So having someone just take two pieces of glass and stick them together, that's not how double glazing works. Double glazing is a very complex procedure. There are a lot of processes that go in behind it. Understand from your contractor what is the U value of this glass. Understand from the contractor what is the shading coefficient that you're getting from this glass. There are a lot more technical details, but I won't get into too much of that. But one most important thing is the U value of the glass. The U value is basically the amount of heat that goes in from outside this glass. Uh, is how much heat it can allow to come in from outside to inside. So the lower the
Right.
U value, the better it is. If it's under 1.9, that's what the UAE standard is. It's definitely going to pass. Um, Make sure so the lower it is, the more expensive, of course, the glass gets. So we've done installations of glass where glasses are over 4.5 meters high, and over an entire balcony span of 6 meters wide. uh, that's a lot of sunlight that you're being exposed to. Make sure that the glass is less than 1.2, 1.3 u value. U value should be less than 1.2 or 1.3. Um that would help you in understanding, how much heat you can reduce from these
So
windows.
yeah, the better the glass quality is, better it is going to save you energy in the long term.
Yes, definitely, definitely. You may think that you're spending maybe 5, 10, 20,000 dirhams more today, but
Yeah.
that will
Over
save
the
you
time.
easily a lot on your air conditioning bills, especially in the summers where you don't want to be entering a house which is warm, even with the
Right.
ACs on.
So these U values has been given or tested, or
Yes.
how does it come in?
So there's a standard called the ASTM standard, which is the American standard, which is utilized by the Dubai municipality. It's
All right.
something which they've adopted and they've called now a green building standard. So Dubai municipality gives these green building standards to all different items, not just windows and glass and glazing. They'll give it to the kind of cement you use, the kind of marbles you use, everything. So the
Okay.
green building standard says that if a certain percentage of your house or your roof is being covered by glass, this is what the performance of the glass has to be. But a very good thumb rule to what I've seen being done, especially unless of course it's an entirely glass cladded tower, a very
Okay.
good standard I've seen is a 1.9. If it's
1 point.
anything close to a 1.9 or even a 2, you're fine.
Mhm.
Anything under
Right.
2.0 should be your U value. That is now tested in this country to say that, okay, if this is under what it is, you will be not spending too much money on your air conditioning bills.
Right.
Otherwise, your amount that you spend on your air conditioning bills increases, the amount that electricity that Diva has to generate for you increases, the need for your chiller to be replaced or again and again serviced increases. So that's why they've made this as a standard for glass and glazing.
Right. And then again, it boils down to the right fitting and installation. So
Definitely.
having the best quality glass with the poor installation also will destroy the
Oh,
whole.
definitely.
So the other day I was talking to Samir and he said that buying the top quality marble
Marvel. Yeah.
and then get it installed by a poor installer will just ruin the whole purpose of it.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I had this same situation where I'm doing a project in Somaliland, which is very close to Somalia. It's in Africa, where the client
Mhm.
basically purchased windows and just gave it to the local company to install those windows. He told me he spent a lot of money because these windows were imported from America. But having those very expensive windows bought all the way to Africa, but then installed in his house by even the local
Some
fabricator,
local company.
some I don't know who it was. He now goes back to that beach house of his, and he sees gaps which are almost a centimeter or two wide in between the
Oh,
window and the
wow.
wall. So he's like, "Oh, I don't know, is this not nice?" And I said, "That's unacceptable." But he didn't know better, right? So having a very expensive product in the hands of someone who's not very technically sound
Yeah,
also is not
in the
a
wrong hands actually.
definitely.
So, how does the pricing of the glass matters? Is it about the profiling, thickness, U rating? Does it all work together?
Yes, of course. I think everything from the start matters. Sometimes there are some people who even come and tell me that you're offering the same product that the other guy is offering. So what's the difference? So I say, no, it's my skill, my manpower, my labor, my ability to do a certain job in a certain way also matters. So it's not only the tangible products. So definitely you have what kind of profile are you using, and it's very easy to fool someone about what profile you're using as well. I mean, yeah, it is good to be honest, which is the policy that we adopt, but sometimes it works against us because we don't get those jobs. So yeah, there are different kinds of profiles available, even for a Gulf extrusion profile or an Arabian extrusion profile, which people say is very, it's a standard profile here, and every house has it. A Gulf extrusion profile can also be replicated by 2 or 3 manufacturers over here. Uh, and not only, I mean, they make it a slight bit different, which is why there's no copyright issue, but it's slightly lighter. Now the disadvantage of that being slightly lighter is that it may not be as robust and durable, but it most likely does the job, but in a very, very, like in a fancier or a more difficult application, it might not be of the right performance. So even if you're choosing the profile, make sure that it is the right kind of profile. You can be as open with your fabricator and make sure you ask him for a guarantee letter. Half of them get scared right there and then, because they're like, oh, okay, they're asking for a guarantee letter, so maybe we should use the right kind of profile. So it's very simple. Ask them for like a letterhead saying that, uh, the profile being used is the right one. Uh, a very good trick that I've seen a lot of fabricators use is that instead of using EPDM, which is a sealant that is used, and I
Yeah.
can show you a very quick example of this. So EPDM is a very, very simple sealant that you see that comes in between the glass and the aluminium.
Right.
EPDM is a polymer which is manufactured using rubber and plastics, a lot more robust, a lot more lifelong than normal rubber. Sometimes you may see that it feels exactly like rubber, so that rubber may start withering away, because when rubber is exposed to extreme heat and extreme cold, all of back to back, it starts expanding, contracting, and it tears. You don't want that happening to your windows as well. So make sure you ask the contractor to use EPDM. In terms of glass, make sure that you're trying to ask them for what the U value is. Don't focus on what the brand name is. Focus on the U value of the glass, the performance of the glass. Make sure that there's no curves in the glass. Make sure that if it's a very, very big window, ask them not to use just normal 6 mm and 6 mm glass, because a lot of people just don't even know and they just use that as a standard. And I've had clients come back to me saying that, oh, this glass is just shattered on its own and I didn't even touch it. But
Because
that
it
won't
was
happen.
6 mm.
It was just normal 6 mm glass, which does work in normal standard applications. Anything under 2.8 meters, you're fine. If it's 2.8 meters high and 1 meters wide, a 6 mm glass is fine. But anything more than that, a 6 mm glass will not work. It'll start cracking and it'll start shattering right there, and you won't even know. And now you're sitting in a house with a broken window, which looks really ugly. Make
Yeah.
sure your right application of glass is used. Make sure the silicone and the sealants on the edges are perfectly done. And lastly but not leastly, I mean, make sure that your finishing of the window is nice. Make sure there are
Right.
no gaps unnecessarily. Make sure they fabricated it well. All of these are very, very important factors, which honestly tend to bring the price up. But again, it depends on.
Yeah, the price
Yeah.
up compared to the market, but
Yes.
actually it is actually something for the skill set
It actually takes a lot of your headache away. Let's just put it
and
that way. So
technicalities.
you're
Yes.
paying for a very good fabricated window, which is
Mm.
obviously coming at a much better service, which I mean is what our USP in the market is.
Mhm.
And that's how we've been able to score a lot of jobs, especially in the lakes and in Emirates Hills. We've been able to get our, people just come to us and they don't mind spending a little bit extra money, and then they get the job done through us.
Oh, yes, I have heard so many reviews about your company. So, yes, that I can say that again and again, Amir is very down towards earth and he's saying little bit expensive. But from his client, I never heard that it is expensive. So, yeah, he is comparing himself with the people who are in the market, who may be a small company or a freelancer. Um, but then again, it is something different. So how many employees are there in your company?
So we've got a team of about 60 people in the company.
60
Uh,
people. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we've got 10 people who are working in the office staff, and we've got about 50 labor. And depending on the size of the project, sometimes we even outsource our labor, which is a very, very common thing. No company wants to have a lot of labor on their own visa.
Yeah,
And it's a
exactly.
bit of an expensive process to have labor here. But touch wood, for the kind of jobs that we take, and we never try and overburden ourselves with jobs. But very rarely, once in a while, if someone falls sick, and especially during COVID, a lot of our labor was stuck in India.
That's a,
We did actually subcontract some stuff uh, from other companies.
okay. So there are a few questions, and let me just go straight away. And this is how to have kids-friendly windows and glass. So you have answered, but yes.
Okay. A good kid-friendly window would be any kind of aluminium window would ideally be kid-friendly. Majorly,
Mhm.
try and avoid. top hung windows. That's something, or completely openable windows, which are, uh, like say, for example, sometimes they're at a certain height and say you're on the first floor of your villa. I've seen a lot of people in the lakes are now going to tilt and turn windows, which basically are windows which don't open up entirely like a hinge door, but they've got an option where you can just
Yeah.
open it up a little bit from the top or a little bit from the top. They tilt out, and they create a lot of safety. So tilt and turn windows are really good in terms of when an adult is there, they just turn it entirely, but when a child is there, they're just allowed to tilt the window. That's something that I've seen. Additionally, any kind of sliding window would be perfectly fine, because a sliding window would only come in front of a balcony. But the
Mhm.
modern construction now is allowing for balconies with openable slidings to come up in areas where they have no balcony. So it's a window in a room, and then there's just it's the ground floor right after that.
All
So
right.
what people are now doing is they're having a small a balustrade or like a railing or a glass piece right outside the window, which is something that we did in a project in Jumeirah.
Right.
And that's something, again, the Dubai municipality recommends that they will not pass the window up without it. But as a homeowner, you ought to know that this is what the application is of that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so Ali Sultan is saying very insightful, Ahmed Bhai, and Nofil is saying hi, warrior. Okay, and Madia Jafar is watching. Thank you very much, Madia, for watching, and there are a few others are watching. And there is another question that came to me last night. Um, uh, Many times people have moisture in the house, and the reason is the air seeping in, out of the room because of the door or window. So, how to fix?
Okay. Humidity is a very big problem over here. Again, this links back into what I had said earlier. Um, if you open your window, most naturally you will see that a 24 or a 23-degree room temperature is now being mixed with a lot of the humidity outside. This will lead to how we also see it in our cars. There is a little bit of fog that develops. Very, very simple solution to this. I mean, either you make sure that your doors are sealed properly so that there's no leakage even when your door is shut. Make sure your locking works completely fine. Make sure there are no gaps in between your these smaller nuances that I said, that make sure the silicon is done properly around your
Right.
windows. Make sure that the EPDM is completely fit in. There are a lot of other smaller rubbers which go inside in windows also, which a lot of times people ignore to put in, or they just don't
So,
know that it even goes there. So make sure that you check with your contractor that all the rubbers are completely fine. And a very good hack to this also, and this is something I should have answered earlier, is that whenever you're choosing your subcontractor or whoever your aluminium contractor is, make
mhm.
sure that they show you a corner sample exactly like this. Tell them
Okay.
that, okay, I've got 25 aluminium windows coming in. For each of them, can you show me a corner sample? A corner sample basically shows you in real life how my window is going to look. It is much better than just showing you a sample card saying these are the profiles you use, because let's be honest, as an end customer, you won't understand what that means. But a corner sample makes it a lot more easier. Now, in that corner sample, he will come and show you, okay, I have rubber here, I have rubber here, I have a wool file here, I have my gaskets coming, my glazing, how it works in different parts is what that shows you. And a very good way for you to sort of keep that in check is that keep that corner sample with you at your house. When he's actually installing the windows, make sure then you can have that point of contact. The fear itself that you have his corner sample will make him actually go out of the way and give you a good quality window.
Yeah, that is so true. So sometime I always tell them, if we work for some project and we give the warranty or guarantee of about something, it
Mhm.
just automatically put the customer in a state of rest. That yes, in a
Yeah,
state of peace. That yes, these guys are saying. And then again, this is something keep the contractor on toes. Actually, nobody
definitely.
wants to go back after 6 months to fix.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, if he's done a good job in the first time, he won't need to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Touchwood, we've been very very liberal with giving out 1 year defects liability period contract and papers to people. Um, touch wood, we never really had to go back.
Because you know that you have delivered the right thing.
Yeah, if I've delivered the right thing, it will most likely. But yeah, definitely there are sometimes when things just go faulty. The weather may have not given the right kind of support. There are very, very rarely that Dubai has these crazy rain showers and hailstorms which happen, and our products in this country are just not made sometimes to suit that. But that's completely fine. You don't need to worry about too much, and it is something that is a loss to some people. But the contractor's duty is to make sure that you're in a safe house, and
Right.
he should do that.
Okay,
So
another question is Ali Sultan. What is the difference between the double glazed vacuum glass and the glass glued together?
okay, so there are two different applications. A double glazed glass is something exactly like this. Now, what is happening in a double glazed glass, right? You see,
Right.
there's an aluminum piece over here which is going on all around.
Mm.
Inside this glass, there is a vacuum that's been created. What does that vacuum do? Is that it creates a sort of air space or a vacuum space which doesn't allow heat from here to reach me on the inside. So that
Right.
helps in creating thermal properties for the glass. It's sometimes filled with normal air, it's sometimes filled with
Right.
argon, it's sometimes filled with different kinds of things. But the main thing that spacer, the aluminium silver spacer that I showed you, that it does is that it keeps a distance between the first glass and the second glass, so that the heat that comes from the outside glass goes into the inside pane of the outside glass. But while it's going through that air spacer that's there in the middle, which can be a 10, 12, 20, 30, 40 air spacer, that doesn't touch this glass on the inside. So the more the air spacer that you have, the more the thermal properties you get from your glass. But of course, you have to choose the right kind of glass combination to go in with your right kind of aluminum profile. We do glasses which are even, I mean, I'm doing one right now which is 64 thick, the glass. So it's an 8 glass on the inside and 8 glass on the outside. But now
Right.
what a glued glass is, basically it's a laminated glass. A laminated glass is nothing but the same two glasses that you can see on the inside and the outside. They are now stuck onto each other through a process called lamination. Lamination basically takes a small film, very very thin. It's in a microns. It's 0.25 or 0.3 thick a film,
Right.
and then they stick that and then they pass it through an oven. Now what this does is it takes your glass, it makes it stronger. And say for example, this glass is a glass that's right above my head as a skylight. Say tomorrow something falls on this window, anything can happen, the glass can shatter, anything can happen. That glass, when it's glued together to another piece of glass, it shatters, but it stays in the same place. It doesn't fall down with small pieces on top of my head. Or even if it's a railing, if it's a window, balcony, balustrade, all of these laminated glasses are used for that. Sometimes you'll see glass floorings in some fancy restaurants and hotels. That's all laminated glass. And the thicker that your glass is, which you're laminating to each other, the stronger the glass that it becomes, and the lesser the chances of it breaking and falling on someone. So in
Is it
fact,
not called as a tempered glass? Is it
no, tempered
tempered is
is,
different?
every kind of glass is ideally tempered in this country at least. A
Yes.
very quick way and a very easy hack of finding this out if the glass is tempered is, firstly, a tempered glass will have a very small, tiny tempering logo somewhere on the corner of that
Yeah.
window. You can figure it out. Sometimes you can request for, like, say for example, sometimes for tabletops we are required to temper glass, but then they ask us that we don't want a tempering logo, which is okay because that tempering logo can sometimes spoil the beauty of that. But tempering logos are one easy way of finding out if a glass is tempered. Secondly, if a glass which is tempered ever shatters or breaks, it will shatter into very small pieces, which you would have ideally also seen in your brother's house.
Yes, I
So
did.
that breaks into very tiny pieces. So even when those tiny pieces, say for example, fall on a child, um, nobody's injured. And even if I step on that glass, it's okay. It doesn't hurt anyone. But if a glass is non-tempered and if it ever cracks, it will break into really big shards. And that big shard falling on someone is it's fatal for them.
Very different. Yeah.
So yeah, tempering is a very important process. Now, laminated glass is sometimes non-tempered, but most times now it's tempered and laminated. So it's breaking into very small pieces, not causing any damage to anyone, and it's also stuck onto each other.
Very
So
strong.
it's a double, triple security.
Okay, another question. Ali Sultan is asking, glued glass is better on the balcony walls, but not on the windows. What do you say?
On balcony windows, it's needed because, again, if say, for example, I have a child who's playing in the balcony and say the glass cracks for any apparent reason, that glass, if it's glued to another piece of glass, it's stuck and it prevents my child from, even if they try and push the glass, or if they're playing or someone
Right.
pushes someone, that glass will not shatter and fall down, whereas a single glass will fall down. On a window, that's not really needed. On a window, I can take a glass like this, a double glazed glass. It's pretty strong. It's not going to, as long as a double glazed glass is there. But again, now this can change as per the size of the glass you're going for. A smaller glass, which is 1 meter by 2 meter or 1 meter by 3 meter, it need not be laminated. What we're doing right now in one of our projects in Dubai Hills is we've got 5 meter by 1.2 meter glasses in single panels, which are being installed in a staircase. I'm not laminating them, but what I'm doing is I'm not using a 6 glass. I'm using an 8 glass on the inside of the house and 8 glass on the outside of the house.
Outside.
So now it's 34 thick glass. So say tomorrow if someone does even break something or hit it, it's not needed to be laminated because it'll already be standing right there. And then we just go and if say, for example, it breaks, we go change it, come back, and it's done. The job is done.
So Ali Sultan is saying, perfect, thank you. Sanam Tala is saying, very informative and interesting session. And Madia Jafar is watching you. Another question. Looks like there are so many questions and people were waiting for you.
Oh, no. My pleasure.
Okay. How can I have a clear view but keep the privacy uncompromised? Through the window.
Very, very simple hack to this is what people use over here. They use a reflective glass, which is sometimes seen in buildings. When you're driving around on Sheikh Zayed Road, a lot of the buildings seem like they're mirroring off something else. If you want to keep privacy, use a reflective glass on the outside and use either a clear glass or any kind of insulation emission glass or a low emission heat control glass on the inside of the house. But one trick to this is that always the glass, a reflective glass, even if the reflective coating may be on the outside and the clear glass may be inside, during the daytime, it will keep the light out. You can, from inside the house, you'll be able to see very clear. But when you are in the nighttime, your lights in your house are switched on, and outside there it's dark. You will see that people can see inside your house very clear and easy. And you, in fact, will be able to see your own reflection when you're sitting inside the house. When you're looking at the window and you're sitting inside the house, you'll see your own reflection. And any of you can try this at home tonight. Just check it out. And this is how usually it works. But someone who's extremely particular about even keeping, like I have a few local clients, Emiratis, who care a lot about this privacy. They have used a film for this glass where they have put a film on the outside, and this film is actually, if I don't know if you have ever seen it, when we're at airports or these interrogation rooms in police centers, they use a certain glass where, say, like in the immigration area of the airport, there is one which is just, it looks like a mirror to you when you're passing by. But what they've done is, on the inside, they're sitting inside the room. They've put a film on the outside of the glass, which is always going to be reflective. So even if they switch on the lights inside the room, because outside is a lot more is similar, or is of similar lighting, and they've put one film on the outside, that helps. But I wouldn't recommend using that for windows, not in homes, not with the kind of heat that we have. These are more for very special purposes. These are used for interiors. Even if you ever watch a movie and if you see that there's someone who's being interrogated inside that police room, you'll always see that the police officer who's on the back side is in a dark room. So it's a lot to do with light play. So yeah.
Okay, so another question is, there are few more. So let's go back to our questions and the pattern, and then we will be involving few more questions. You said that there are some government procedures involved. So is it involved during the installation, or is it involved when you get the glass done?
So there are a couple of different things which we could refer to as government, procedures. Firstly, if anyone is doing any kind of, if you're living in a community, there is like Imar communities, Nakhil communities, any community that you're living in, you will need some kind of permissions from Dubai municipality or from Trakis or from whoever or Imar or whoever it is to approve the fact that you're making changes to your house. Now, if it's just removing an old window, putting a new window in its place, you don't really need any kind of permission from them. But I have clients now who I just finished off a project in the lakes where they basically had windows which they wanted to break down and they wanted top to bottom glass. For that, because they were making changes to the civil structure or to the structure of the house, they need permission because now you might not know that you have what it seems like a wall over there, but is there a power line running through that? Is there some kind of water pipeline running through that wall? You would never know. Is there some kind of structural, some load bearing beam which is over there which you're trying to now break? You'll never find out. So you need to go into Imar and take permission from them, which your contractor will very easily do for you.
Will do.
The
Yeah,
contractor
yeah.
will, yeah,
So like us, we do the complete drawing discussion. We look at the drawing, do the VPs check
exactly,
whether it is possible or not. And
exactly.
yes, we are doing one possibility in Arabian Ranches next week,
Yes, I remember
where
you told me about this.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's all about the same thing. We had to go through all the documentations.
yeah.
Another thing is, do you have one magic window? What is that window that you are really proud of and you really like? Slimline windows. Tell me
So
more.
yeah, yes, I've spoken to you about this before as well. This was a game changer for us. It is basically a window which we are importing into the country right now, and we are the official distributors and the authorized installers for these windows. We're the only people to do this for this brand in this country. It goes by the name of SAUC. It's SAUC, SAUC Minimal Systems. You guys can Google it. Feel free to. Uh, that is something that I only adopted in the past 3 years, and that is, you could say, my baby in this company. Even though this is a family-run business, this was something that was entirely taken up by me. We had no idea how to install this. We had never worked with such a system before, but it's really helping us tap into a lot of villa customers who really want to increase the amount of light coming into their house. They really want to reduce the amount of heat that comes into their house. This window it's a magical window for them. But what's the good thing about and how it's different from other windows is that you can achieve very very large sizes, but it is a slim window. So what it means is that regularly, and to all the viewers on Facebook right now, I want you to go up to your windows in your houses and just measure any of the aluminium that you see. For example, this is the window.
Mhm.
This is how wide my aluminium window is. But now imagine I tell you that I will make this into just this.
Oh, wow.
So it's now your entire glass is now glued onto a window which is this thin, and it's used mainly for sliding windows and for fixed windows. Um, it's because it's so slim and it's so sleek. There's a lot of engineering that goes in behind it. It is a bit more expensive,
Mhm.
but of course we've been lucky enough to have a lot of support from the manufacturer, and we've been able to break into the market. We've already completed about 4 projects in the country, and we've already got about 5 more projects lined up in this year itself with this windows. So we're really really thankful, and we're blessed to have this with us and a good kind of clientele to support us with it.
Right. So yeah, I came to know, and you were so much passionate when you told me about that kind of a window. And then you sent me some pictures as well. So I would love that picture to be posted on Facebook so people can see what is the difference between the normal window and the
Definitely.
functionality is not compromised actually. In
Oh,
fact, it has increased the efficiency.
yeah, it increased the efficiency. So yeah, so it's amazing, the window. So I will definitely share a photograph and then you can post it if you'd like to.
Okay. This is taking too long, actually. the longest session ever. Another
Okay.
question, and then I think we are good to go. And it is all about, can we cover our balconies with glass cubicle?
Pardon me, could you repeat that?
Can we cover our balconies with glass cubicle or pergola with the
Yes,
glass?
yes, definitely, definitely. It depends on if your contractor is able to get you the permission for it.
Yeah.
It is very much. I've seen a lot of people doing this where they've extended their bedroom into their balcony as well by just covering up the balcony. So yes, it's very very much possible. Again, make sure that the glass specification being used is correct. Make sure that you have all your permissions in hand. Um, I'm sure Saida can share my contact details with you guys. Please get in touch, even if you want just my advice on how to do it. If you already have a contractor who's ready to do it for you, make sure that your contractor is using the right kind of material. Make sure he's using the right kind of glass. Make sure you're not end up making your balcony now into a sauna, which is part of your bedroom. So just feel free
This
to
is
ask any questions as well.
okay. So one question that is how to have a soundproof windows. So you have already answered.
Yes, I think
Having a
that's
right installation and having the right
very very
material.
important. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So one question is a very tricky question, and it's a last question and a surprise question for you. Any good discount you want to offer to our uh, private Facebook group members?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whoever is willing to approach and whoever is willing to, come into us, we will definitely look at them. Obviously, very specially because, of course, they're coming through your recommendation, Saida. So that's amazing. We will be willing to offer a 10% discount on whatever services they take on from us. And we can always work out a very, very good price, even though we're very competitive. I will extend a further 10% discount to whoever is willing to get their work done through us. So it's amazing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he has given us and offers us 10% discount plus free consultancy, which is always there, and very competitive rates. And then I would say, why you are waiting for? And if you are looking for changing the windows, then go ahead and speak to the right guy. It's Amir Ali from Alfa Nus Al Fadi, and it is pleasure having you here. And it was not we never thought of having this much long duration session, but it is very informative actually, Amir. And once the information flows in, then the people start asking the questions, and I hope you have answered everyone. And guys, Amir is also a part of our group. And if you want to get in touch with him, especially via Facebook, and I will also post his details, his company details, so that you can get in contact with him. And then, of course, I will 10% from Amir and free consultation and more technical input from Amir. So thank you very much, Amir. Hope you have enjoyed discussing about all the technicalities on this group, and hope to have you sometime again with more questions.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure. And knowledge is king, so I always appreciate giving it out to all of my customers, regardless if they be my customers or not. I just love giving the information out, and it's
Yeah,
always
that I witness, because whenever I go to you with any question, I come back with so many information. Thank you very much, Amir. Thank you very much. Having you on board was a very good thing, because I really wanted to understand this industry as well, because our clients also want these kind of changes. And then uh, all our Facebook group members will get benefited of this.
thank you,
Thank you
thank you,
very much, Amir. Have a good day.
thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye-bye.